minutes.
Mr. Speaker, the language that we're discussing at this current time is allowing the Keystone Pipeline a path forward. It's based on the bill I introduced back in September, which is 3548. Keep in mind, the President of the United States killed the Keystone Pipeline. We think that was kowtowing to the environmental extremists, some of which may be in the House of Representatives or represented here today, but the reality is it was a wrong decision. It is in the best interest of our nation to have the Keystone Pipeline bringing oil from Alberta oil sands into the United States where it can be refined and used in the United States, offsetting imported oil from Venezuela and Saudi Arabia. It creates, Keystone Pipeline would take these supplies from Canada, use them in the United States, creating tens of thousands of jobs over a 2-year to 2.5-year construction phase, with permanent jobs thereafter to maintain the pipeline and its pumps along the 1,700-mile pipeline. Now, as far as the environmental objections to the project are concerned, I wish more people would have read the administration's own final environmental impact study. It found that not building the Keystone XL would lead to more oil being transported by riskier means such as tankers, trains, and trucks. For this reason, it concluded, the administration's folks concluded, that the building of the pipeline is environmentally preferable to not building the pipeline and that its route was safe. Then the Nebraska governor requested that just for a little bit of Nebraska, that they do a 30 or 40-mile loop. The path was set, except for this little loop. Now, it would take a long time to dispel all the myths that have been perpetuated by the opponents in the environmental community. But it's worth noting that these are intrastate issues well on their way to being resolved, and in fact were carved out in the previous bill mentioned by the gentleman from California, but the president ignored the Nebraska exemption, giving Nebraska time to work through its change of route for about 40 or 50 miles of the 1700. Never mentioned that, and killed the pipeline. So we give a pathway forward to TransCanada to refile its permit with all of the environmental documents that it has gathered over the last 3 years, presented to the administration last year, and give time to Nebraska to resolve their issue. Now, 30 seconds more. So,
As for 1 minute.
Politics of the extreme put us in this position. But let's ask, who benefits from this oil coming into the United States from our partner, Canada, and being refined and used in the United States of America? If we have this, everyone benefits in our nation. If we don't have this pipeline to displace the oil, who wins? Venezuela continues to send us 900,000 barrels per day. Saudi Arabia. Our reliance just grows for these nations' oil supplies. That's who wins, Saudi Arabia and Venezuela. I yield back.
Gentleman from Nebraska yields back.